I work a lot with content. One of my problems is always like, how do all these pieces fit together, right? And together, then really take my business forward and bring me closer to achieving my mission. Well, some people have a good strategy for that. And so let's listen to Tyler as he tells us how he works with 4 pillars, where each of the different pillars and the components within that pillars work together in a way that they leverage each other. Let's listen how those 4 pillars work, how you put them together, and really make them work for your business. The stage is yours. This is Tyler.
All you lovers. This is
Hey there, welcome to my session, 4 dimensions of high growth content marketing programs. First of all, thanks so much for joining. I'm super excited today to talk about content marketing, to talk about how to deliver huge growth and awesome results for your work, for clients, or for whoever you work with. My name is Tyler Hakes. A quick intro about me. So I run a content marketing agency called Optimist, and we work primarily with startups, SaaS, tech companies. We focus on building scalable growth strategies built on proven content marketing and SEO frameworks. I've been doing content marketing and SEO for about 10 years, in-house startups, agency world, and started my own thing about 5 years ago. So I've had the chance to work with a lot of different companies inside and out. And so today I'm going to talk to you about the process and the frameworks that we've been refining over really the course of my entire career, and certainly within the last 5 years working with clients at Optimist. So first of all, we're going to be talking about growth, right? So when I think about content marketing, I think about SEO, I think about the clients that hire us. They hire us to deliver growth. And when I talk about growth, I'm talking about big growth, 3x, 5x, 10x, really scaling content marketing and SEO, turning it into a proven growth strategy and an essential part of the overall growth engine for startups. And so that usually takes the form of exponential growth, right? I joke that this is like my love language, is looking at these charts and graphs, working with clients and being able to show them these exponential growth patterns that we're able to produce. I'm just going to share one more just for fun. But I really like looking at these charts, and I really like sort of turning content marketing into as much of a science as possible. Of course, it's always going to be art, right? There's an art element that goes into creating content that works and delivering value for the business. But as much as possible, we want to turn it into science. And so that's what I'm focused on, is taking this thing that sometimes seems like it just happens and it's magic and you can't really figure out how to replicate it, and turning it into a proven framework that we can apply to all different types of clients in all different types of industries and verticals and spaces. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today, our 4-dimensional framework. So let's jump right into it, and I'll share with you the 4 dimensions that we're going to be discussing today. So one is the strategic goal. So defining for each piece of content that we create what the way that content will be used within the strategy. Number 2 is the tactical goal. What are we actually trying to get someone to do with this content? What's the action we want them to take? Number 3 is the reader's goal, and number 4 is the funnel. And so our 4-dimensional framework is about applying each of these to every piece of content that we create, and we're going to be diving in here to each of these elements and unpacking what it means and how you can apply it to the content that you're creating within your own strategy. So ultimately, this is going to help us to create the right content, right? So our strategic goal is about asking, how does this piece work within the overall strategic framework? The tactical goal is about asking, what is the next logical step for this reader to take, and how do we get them to take that action? The reader's goal is about understanding your audience, serving the reader and their need, and providing them with whatever information or trust or understanding they need to take that action that you want them to take. And the funnel is about where the individual reader is at within their journey. And we're going to talk about each of these in a lot more detail here. So let's get right into it. First of all, the strategic content goal. So this is a step that unfortunately I think a lot of people skip over, right, is they think of content as one big bucket, right? There's blog posts and there's ebooks and there's these basic things of formats, but each piece in and of itself is kind of the same general thing, right? We're going after a keyword or we're doing this or whatever. The way that we think about content marketing is that it's about a strategic mix of different types of content. And each piece of content has a specific goal, but not all content will have every goal. And so what I mean by that is if we want to create a piece of content that's built to rank for a specific keyword, that's its job, is to rank for a keyword. But on the other hand, we also know that it's important for content to help us build links, to help the SEO driven or the keyword driven content rank higher in search, right? And so what we need to do is we need to construct a framework where we both create content to rank and content to build links. And so the framework as a whole, or the strategic framework that we use, is those combinations of different types of content that work together. And so our goal is to put together the right mix of content to achieve an outsized goal, right? We want the sum of the parts to be better, bigger, more growth than each of the individual parts could achieve on their own. And so what that means is we have to ask, how does this individual piece of content work within the overall strategic framework? So the way that I think about it is it's like a puzzle, right? You've got all these different pieces, and what you need to define first is for each individual piece of content, where does it fit in the puzzle? What job does it do? And so the jobs of content, of each individual piece of content, are generally pretty straightforward, right? It's going to rank for a keyword. It might drive social traffic. It might generate links. It might help you convert your traffic into leads, or it might help you convert your leads into sales. No matter what that specific strategic goal is, we need to define that first so that we know what we're making and how it's going to help the business in the end. The second piece is the tactical content goal. So what is the next logical step for this reader to take based on the content, based on the reader, based on where they are in the funnel? All of these elements are sort of interconnected. We're going to talk about how those relate to each other in just a moment. But for now, we want to think about this tactical goal. Usually this is some specific action we want the reader to take next, right? So we might want them to sign up. We might want them to download an ebook. We might want to send them to a specific key page, get them to watch a video. Maybe we just want them to share a tweet or click a link, some specific action that we know will sort of advance the ball, right? Move the reader to the next stage, push them towards a purchase, get them more familiar with the product, whatever it is that we're trying to achieve with this specific piece of content. And so here are some examples in the slide here showing some different calls to action from HubSpot. In the top right, you've got how to choose the perfect CRM for your business. It's sort of a comparison shopping piece. Then we've got learn about HubSpot sales software. So that's more of a focused call to action about learning about their specific product. And then finally, you've got a call to action that's a direct sign up, right? Get HubSpot's free CRM now. And so that specific call to action or that tactical goal is, again, the action we want the reader to take based on this specific piece of content that we're creating. Next up, we've got the reader's goal. So the reader's goal is about understanding our audience. It's about understanding what their needs are and how we need to meet them where they're at and address their needs before we try to get them to take our business goals or our business actions or tactical goals. So when we think about content marketing, really it lives at this intersection between the business goal and the reader goal. So if we don't serve the reader and we're just we're just serving the business goal, then nobody will care about our content. And on the other side, if we just serve the reader's goal without serving the business goal, then we're just creating content that's not doing anything for the company. And so we need to really marry these two ideas of fulfilling the business goal while also meeting the reader's goal. And so that means we need to think about the reader and what they're actually trying to achieve. Why are they reading this piece of content in the first place? What are they hoping to get out of it? And so that means, they might be looking to learn about a topic. They might want to understand their problem. They might be looking to mimic a specific outcome, or they might be trying to accomplish a very specific task, like integrating Google Sheets with Ahrefs or some very specific tactical process. Maybe they're looking to identify potential solutions to a problem that they already feel they understand, or they want to compare solutions or even compare products and services, right? So we need to, first of all, understand what is the reader hoping to get from this piece of content based on the content itself and what we know about the reader. The last piece here, the fourth dimension, is the marketing funnel, right? And so first of all, before I get bombarded with hate mail, let me just say, I know there are many models for the funnel out there. Some of them are more complex. Some of them include marketing only, and some of them include marketing and sales. And there's a lot of debate about what the funnel should look like or how it looks, et cetera, et cetera. My version of the funnel is a pretty simplified one, right? So I'm thinking about the marketing funnel as 3 stages: top, middle, bottom. Now, one of the things to keep in mind is that not everybody's journey is a linear one, right? So very few people are going to just follow this exact trajectory from the beginning all the way through to the sale or the purchase. But it's helpful context to think about where any individual piece fits into the funnel itself, right? So when we think about the top of the funnel, I want you to be thinking about problems, pain points, jobs to be done, things that people are looking to solve. In the middle, I want you to be thinking about solutions. So people who are in the middle of the funnel are usually looking for information about a specific solution or solving a specific thing that they're trying to achieve. And at the bottom, they're generally looking at specific products. They're comparison shopping. They're trying to understand which thing is right for me and which path should I go down. And so when we have all 4 of these dimensions, we're going to put them together, and this is going to steer the content that we actually create, right? And so the way that we actually apply this framework, these 4 dimensions, is to ask questions about the content we're creating. Before we start creating content, we want to be able to answer these specific questions to help us define what the content should look like, how it will function, and what success will look like in the end, right? So when we think about the strategic content goal, the questions we want to answer are: 1, what job is this content doing within the overall strategy? Number 2 is, how will this specific piece of content help drive business growth, either directly or indirectly? And so what that means is you want to be thinking about how this piece of the puzzle fits into the overall puzzle, right? And secondly, we're going to be thinking about how this piece of content is going to drive business growth, whether it's ranking for a keyword that we think will convert into sales or leads, or if it's building links that will help other pages rank for keywords that will generate sales or leads, right? There's different goals here, but the point is that we need to understand what the goal is for this specific piece. And then we have 2 other questions. So one is, what other pieces of content does this specific piece support, right? So perhaps if this is a link building piece, we're creating it for the express intent of building links to the content itself. And then we're thinking about how it's supporting other articles or other pages on the site. And on the flip side, or the other side of that coin, we want to think about what other pieces of content are supporting this piece, or what other piece of content is this piece supported by. And what that means is thinking, again, in terms of the big picture, how does this fit in? What other pieces are we interlinking to, or how does this fit into the funnel? And what are the other pieces that we need to achieve the overall outcome that we're looking to accomplish, right? And so we need to understand all of these strategic contexts in order to understand what content we need to create and how it connects to the other pieces that we have. The next dimension is the tactical content goal. So we have 3 questions that we want to answer about the content we're creating here. 1, what action do I want the reader to take, right? This is the most simple version. There's some call to action that we likely have associated with every piece of content that we create, whether it's clicking a link or downloading an ebook. We want to define that. Secondly, we want to ask, how does this action relate to the reader's goals? So we're going to talk in a moment about kind of how we think through this logically and how all of these questions are kind of interconnected, but you want to be able to answer this question, right? So if the reader is coming in looking for more information about a specific topic, then your call to action for them to sign up for your service may not make sense, right? Because it may not align with their goals. So you need to think about what the reader's goal is coming in, and how you can serve that goal, meet them where they are, and then move to your tactical business goal. And that's really the third question, is based on the reader's goal and their place in the funnel, what information does the reader need before they're ready to take this action? So again, going back to that example, if they come in and they're just learning about content marketing, and my goal is to get them to hire optimists, then I've got a lot of work to do, right? I've got to teach them all about content marketing. I've got to explain to them why a content marketing agency is one to hire, and I've got to explain to them why they should choose Optimist over all the other content marketing agencies, right? So that does give me kind of a framework and understanding of, if this is the reader's goal and this is the tactical goal, then what comes in the middle? What is the shape of the content itself? And what information do I need to provide to a reader in order to prepare them to take that desired action? So it's really important to understand that tactical goal and then use that to kind of steer the ship when we're thinking about the sort of meat of the content, if you will. The third dimension, the reader's goal. There are 3 questions here. So we want to think about, what is the reader hoping to accomplish by reading this content, or even more broadly, based on the topic that we're covering, what are they looking to accomplish in life or in their job, etc. Why are they consuming this content, right? So how does this fit in contextually with their broader ambitions or their goals, or whatever we might be able to glean from the content itself and sort of the topic that we're covering? And then lastly, what does success look like for them? So again, depending on where they are in the funnel, what their problem is, what they're trying to solve, et cetera, their version of success might be different, right? So success to them might be, hey, I'm just looking to gather some information that I can share with my boss. Or success might be, I'm ready to dive right in and make a purchase and sign up for a product and implement it and get going right now, right? So we need to understand what the reader's goals are based on the content that we're making and where they are in the funnel. Lastly, thinking about the funnel specifically, we want to ask, where is the reader in their journey, right? So are they interested in solutions? Are they interested in the problems that they have? Are they interested in looking at specific products and trying to comparison shop and understand which one is the best fit? So we want to first ask that question. Next, we want to ask, what next step makes the most sense? So again, going back to our tactical goal, we need to be cognizant of where the reader is in the funnel and make sure that we align the tactical goal with the reader's place in their journey. So we've all been on websites before where you read a piece of content and it's about a high-level topic like content marketing, and 2 paragraphs in, you get smacked with a call to action to buy a product or hire a company or do whatever. And you just get kind of annoyed, right? Because it doesn't fit. You haven't gained enough information. You don't have enough direction to be able to make a decision like that, right? And so we need to align the next step with the content itself and where the reader is in their journey. The third question is, how do I pull the reader further into the funnel? So most of the time, our goal is going to be to get the reader to take a certain action that progresses them in this journey, right? So the amount of progress that we can make is going to be dependent on all these other dimensions. But the key here is to understand, how do I pull them into the funnel? What narrative do I need to set up within the content so that they are ready to move from the top of the funnel to the middle of the funnel, right? And that, again, is going to steer the content that you're creating and how you need to address the reader and their needs. And then the final question is, how far can you pull them into the funnel, right? And so this is really a function of your business. And so if you have a SaaS product, for instance, it might be easier to move someone from the top of the funnel to the middle of the funnel and all the way to the bottom of the funnel, and they're ready to convert through one blog post, right? That might happen. But a company like Optimist, that's very unlikely to happen, right? People don't usually read one article, learn everything they need to know, and then immediately hire a content marketing agency. So the limitations of how far you can pull someone into the funnel is going to be based on the kind of product or service that you're selling, and how expensive it is, how much research people need to do, what the buying cycle looks like, et cetera, right? So something to consider there is, how far can you realistically expect someone to move? And it may just be, hey, I'm just incrementally moving them down the funnel by arming them with more knowledge so that they're able to better answer the questions that they have and make an informed decision. Okay, so now that we've talked through each of these 4 dimensions, we've identified the questions that we need to be able to answer. Now let's think about this from the perspective of a content marketer who's working through this process to define the content that they're going to create. So the process that we have here for mapping the content out is using this roadmap, right? So where do we start? What questions do we ask? And what are we achieving at each step? So first of all, we're going to start in the top left here, the strategic goal, right? So the first thing that we need to do is we need to define the content that you need to achieve specific business goals. So we always want to start with a business goal, right? We want to start with an overall goal, like we want to increase our leads or drive more sales, whatever it is, right? That's why we're investing in content marketing in the first place. Then, based on that goal, we can define the different types of content that we'll need, right? So again, we might need content that's built to rank for keywords, and content that drives social traffic, and content that builds links, and content that converts traffic into leads, whatever it is, right? It's the combination of content that we're creating. And then for each individual piece of content, we want to know, what is that strategic goal for this piece? What job is this piece of content doing? And then again, how does it relate to the other pieces of content that we're creating? How do they work together? So that's the first step. Next, based on the strategic goal, based on the overall strategy, you want to map your required content against the buyer's journey, right? So for each individual piece of content, based on its overall strategic goal and the content that you're creating, you want to understand, where does this fit into the buyer's journey, right? Is this a top of the funnel piece? Is it a middle of the funnel? Is it somewhere near the bottom, right? Identify how it fits in. And again, going back to our framework, top of the funnel is problems, middle of the funnel is solutions, bottom of the funnel is products, right? So using that to kind of simplify the thinking there and identify how this content relates to the funnel overall. Next up, we're going to jump over here to the reader's goal, right? And so you'll notice already that there's a little bit of a circular process here. So we're going to talk about that in just a moment here. But the first step here is to then, based on the target reader and what we know about the funnel for the specific piece, we want to think about the reader's goal. So based on what we know about the reader, where they are in the funnel, and our audience and who we're addressing, what are their actual goals? Why are they reading this piece of content? What is it doing for them? How is it helping them? And that's going to help us to uncover and define what that reader's goal is. But then we also want to use that reader's goal to better refine the content based on the objective, right? So we may learn a little bit about the reader's goal and then decide, oh, actually, we need to adjust this content slightly so that it better meets the reader's needs and is not just aligned with the strategic goal or the business goal. So again, there's a little bit of a circular kind of song and dance here where you want to kind of go back and forth between the strategic goal, the funnel, and the reader's goal, and you want to use all of these to kind of work in concert until you identify kind of just the right balance, right? So based on that reader's goal, you might go back and then define the funnel stages based on what the reader needs, right? So you may identify, hey, look, we thought this piece was a top of the funnel piece, but as we dug in and better understood the reader's goals and their needs, we think this is actually more of a bottom of the funnel piece or a middle of the funnel piece. And that will adjust the scope of the individual piece of content. So you really want to do a little bit of diligence here. You want to do some research. You want to understand your reader, your audience, as well as the business side, right? Because we all approach content, I think, first and foremost from the business side with the knowing our objectives. And so we need to balance that by understanding the reader's objectives. So you may go through this process a couple times, right? You may iterate on this, and that's okay. That's normal. Going back and forth between the funnel, the business goal, and the reader and their needs until you kind of fine-tune the content and figure out, okay, if we align these goals with their goals, and this is how you kind of make this piece of content work for both parties. And so once you've done that, once you've kind of defined where it sits in the funnel and what the reader's goal is going to be, and then how it relates back to the strategic goal, these three dimensions should all point you towards the final dimension, which is the tactical goal. So depending on who the reader is, where they are in the funnel, you should have a tactical goal in mind. You may start out with a tactical goal. Maybe you come into it and think, okay, I'm going to write this blog post, and when they're done, I'm going to send them straight to the sign-up form. But in reality, what you need to do is you need to prescribe that tactical step or that tactical goal based on the funnel and the reader and the strategy. And so you may uncover in your process that, oh, hey, the reader that's reading this content is not quite ready to sign up. So the tactical goal that makes the most sense is for them to learn more, or download an ebook, or request a demo, or do something that's a little bit more incremental, right? So ideally, again, that tactical goal should be kind of prescribed by these other dimensions. And so this is giving us kind of the full framework. Now, if we work through each of these steps for each piece of content that we create, and we can answer the questions about how that content works and what success looks like, then we're able to put it all together and define the content that we're creating. And so that's really what the framework is about giving us a shape and a definition for each piece of content. What does this look like? How does it work? What does success feel like and look like? And how do we achieve that? And so that's the framework for dimensions for high performing content marketing. And I promise you, if you are able to implement this and define the content that you're creating on the basis of these dimensions, it's going to really help to level up your content marketing. It's going to help you create better, more strategic content that's more effective and really drives growth. So that's all for me for this session. And hopefully it was helpful. I'd love if you connect with me on Twitter. I'm at Tyler Hakes, and I'm always happy to answer questions, or if you have feedback or want to talk through the information I shared here, please feel free to reach out. Awesome. Thanks so much and have a great day. Cheers.